I call to order this February 11th meeting of the North Allegheny School Board. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Starting with our calendar review, we have a combined meeting this evening, and we will have our Family Consumer Sciences curriculum report. After this meeting, we'll have an executive session to discuss property and personnel issues. We only have the one meeting this month. Next month, we will have our work session on March 11th, where our technology education curriculum report will be presented. And on March 25th, we will have our regular voting meeting. And now we can move on to Dr. Hyland and the Family Consumer Sciences curriculum report.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Warner. It is my pleasure to introduce, and it's so great that we have such a great turnout from the Family Consumer Science Department. Do we have everybody? We're pretty close. Well, thank you for coming out tonight. And thank you for all the hard work that you put in to the presentation that the board's going to see tonight. And with that, I think I'm introducing Mrs. Gallagher, correct? Okay.
Allowing us this opportunity to talk about our Family and Consumer Sciences program and the wonderful things that are happening in our classrooms every day. When we undertook this program review, one of the big things that was our guiding direction were our goals that are contained in the Strategic Comprehensive Plan. All of our recommendations that came out of our work together aligned with the district goals in a way that was actually very natural and, dare I say, effortless. The priorities of the department and of the curriculum align seamlessly with the direction that the district has been going, which is something that, as department chair, made this program review really meaningful and I think very successful. Our curriculum review team consisted of 90% of the FCS teachers that are in our department. We had nearly every person from every building at almost every meeting. So this is a small, cohesive, and mighty team of teacher leaders who are all deeply invested in our curriculum and the program that we provide to our students in 6th through 12th grade. So this presentation structure follows the general structure of our curriculum review reports with our purpose and focus statement, a review of some of our recommendations, and some concluding comments. So the reason that we are here, which may be surprising to some since it feels like we were just here a month ago, is that the Pennsylvania Department of Education recently redid the Family and Consumer Sciences academic standards. That was an update from 2003, and those new standards will be going into effect in July 1st of 2026. Another driving part of why we are here tonight is because Family and Consumer Sciences aligns very closely with the personal finance curriculum and those personal finance standards. They were actually developed together. So we took this opportunity to clarify and work with the business department to make sure that our curriculums are aligned and that the aspects of consumerism and personal finance are not overlapping, but still strong in both curriculums. One of our primary recommendations as a result of those standards is the curriculum recommendation, and that we took this opportunity to take our FCS curriculum and update it in alignment with our new standards. Some of the primary changes to the Department of Education standards are that there are many more of them, and also they're more specifically related to family and consumer sciences 4 main areas: resource management and development, child development, food and nutrition, and personal finance. So there still exists personal finance within our standards. Some of the areas that we are specifically focusing in on as part of this review is our services we provide with our students that require extra support. And we have a exciting partnership model that Megan Bailey is going to discuss that's taking place at NAI.
So we are looking and hoping next year to start what we would call a partner class. The idea being that we tend to get a large portion, if not all, of our special needs students in our electives. It's just a really nice fit for them typically. However, a lot of these students come with para support, which is great, but it can make it difficult for the kids to really integrate with everyone in the classroom. So the goal being next year to pilot and look at finding students, general ed students who can be partners with our special needs students. Again, goal that the paras can kind of step back their support. They are still there and they are still aware of whatever the students need. They can step in, but now we can integrate these kids a little bit more fully into our classes. We've been considering doing a couple different models, and we went to visit Baldwin High School, and they just really ramped up their partner program. And they actually have it in I think they have 10 or 11 different electives where they have students who are partners with special needs students. It would definitely involve a process. Kids would have to apply to be a partner. We would have discussions with the special education teachers to make sure that it was a good fit for the students coming into our classroom. But we really feel that it is going to be super beneficial moving forward. These kids are going to get more integrated with their peers. They're going to be more hands-on. I think we're going to see a lot of positive changes. We're hoping to start it in our foods classes and maybe with just a few students that we'll probably handpick and interview. And then if it's successful, hopefully move it to the rest of our electives that we have at NAI.
Great. The Family Consumer Sciences program at North Allegheny is compulsory in grades 6 through 8. So we have a team of middle school teachers that works very closely together to ensure that the students in all 3 of our middle schools have assured experiences and curriculum alignment. And Diane Sinkowski from IMS wants to speak a little bit to the changes and focus of the middle school curriculum.
Hi. We have a great opportunity at the middle level to have FCS that everybody has to take. I know not all schools have that. So we are able to take that curriculum and do a lot of cool things with it. But with the big change and all the new standards and stuff, we're really taking the time to look at each specific unit that we're teaching, the time we have with each kids. 6th grade, we have them for 9 weeks. 7th grade, we have them for 6 weeks. 8th grade, we have them for 12 weeks. So just looking at the new curriculum, taking those new standards, thinking about what the personal finance class is going to look like at the high school level, but still giving our kids opportunity at the middle level to have some personal finance experience, as long as it's the basics, like knowing how to save their money, how to do basic budgeting, different ways to pay, keeping up with things like that. So we're at a really unique opportunity right now to be able to have the time before those new standards come into place to really look at what we're doing and see how all of those things can fit. We looked at the standards already, and a lot of the standards we're already teaching, which is awesome. So it's not going to be a drastic change, but it is always nice to look at the program and see how we can make things better and stay up to date with all of the new things that are happening in family consumer sciences.
Thank you. For our second review, for our second recommendation that we'd like to discuss tonight, we are going to talk about our facilities, resources, and equipment goals. A big part of delivering a comprehensive and cohesive program to our students lies in the way that we are effectively able to work with central administration office in our finances and in our facilities. We have a lot of supply needs in order to run the foods labs, the textile labs that we provide to our students 6 through 12. And so we were really grateful for this opportunity to meet one-on-one with Mr. Hauser and talk about standardizing procedures for ordering, standardizing procedures for replacing appliances, looking forward to the new facility that we're building at NAI, and having a focus on space that's designed to safely support NA's enrollment and our curriculum goals. So the recommendation coming out of this review is that partnership is continued and that we regularly meet to reflect on how our ordering and our facility maintenance is going and ways that we can work together to provide a seamless procedure for the teachers so that we can focus our energy and time on instructing the kids rather than some of these other things that we know the district can help support us. So that is a brief overview of our work that we had together. These key takeaways that we want to reinforce are that our curriculum is aligned 6 through 12 and that it is updated to the new PDE standards that are going into effect in July. Our time together allowed us to strengthen coherence and best practices. We expanded career pathways and are looking forward to industry-connected opportunities for our students, modernizing facilities, and reinforcing that our main job as educators is to prepare students for their successful lives in the next year at NA and then in their future lives as career and community leaders of our country. Does anybody have any questions at this time?
Thank you so much. Does any board members have any questions or comments? Dr. Adams.
Thank you for the energy and the time and your team. Any quick summary on the personal finance overlap? I'm just curious, as I was reviewing a little bit right now on the saving and investment vehicles. Is there any way, and have you been told, or can you add wealth building enthusiasm so as not to get into debt at that early age?
Building enthusiasm.
Yeah, can you add that as a
You
bullet?
can come in and be a guest speaker. So one of the tricky parts or excellent opportunities we have to engage our young learners is making those connections in that 6th to 8th grade level about personal finance, because a lot of times those kids have experience with allowance, maybe starting to work a little bit. So we really focus on savings and that concept that your present self and the decisions you're making today, those habits, are going to be directly impacting you as a future consumer and buyer in your future life. And so as we are looking at how the personal finance standards are separating out from the FCS standards, a lot of our FCS standards at the middle school level, they did talk about investing and credit cards and check writing, which seems kind of like a foreign concept to some people at this time. And it was hard to make that learning relevant to someone who might be 11 or 12 years old. So some of the concepts we were trying to teach at the middle level are thankfully going to be taught again now in the 11th grade level, where these students are starting to really think about the impact of student loans, the impact of savings and investing, that wealth management concept that really needs to begin at that young age. So we talk about the power of compound interest. We talk about the power of savings for your future. And I know that as a department, we're really grateful that this is going to be a mandatory experience when it's even more relevant to students in their lives in that 10th and 11th grade year.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions or comments? I just want, this was a great summary of everything you did, but I also really appreciated your more detailed report. And I guess I just want to highlight a couple things that stuck out to me there. And it was just throughout the report how you mentioned meeting the needs of all learners. And I'm really excited about this partner program. And I have heard that the unified PE option has been very popular. And so I'm excited this will be another opportunity for students who are looking for that kind of thing, and another opportunity just for all of our students to be able to have that kind of collaboration in that different kind of environment. I was really happy as one of our 2 Beatty reps. I was happy to see how you mentioned A.W. Beatty a couple times in your report, and how you recognize that, Beatty, you kind of really dig deep, but it takes so much time. Like, you really have to know that's what you want to do, and that you guys provide some similar opportunities, but they don't have to give up quite as much time. And I think especially maybe some of our students who are a little younger may not know, like, oh, do I really want to give up 3 credits every year to do this? But they can come to your department and be able to explore that. But I was really happy that you were visiting Beatty, had plans to visit, and that kind of collaboration, because I think your department does great things, and Beatty is such a wonderful place and is such a great fit, and that you're aware that there's kind of overlap between your 2 organizations. That was fantastic. And I was real happy. I'm sure Mr. Hauser was incredibly helpful. And I was just wondering, do you guys spend a lot of time outside of class doing your own shopping? And because you do a lot, I know there's a lot of food. I got to come to Community Kitchen this year, which was an absolutely wonderful experience. And I saw all the food that was there. And so have you historically had to put a lot of your own time into procuring that outside of your school hours? So do you feel that, so certainly this seems like something we could help you with, and we're on a path to help, improve that situation for you?
Yes.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear it.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Gibbs.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Just one quick question. You mentioned at the beginning that PDE came up with new standards. Could you just very briefly highlight for us what has changed in the standards, what's different now, and how has that impacted what you plan to do?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So the previous standards that had been in effect for the past 23 years, there were 4 main areas, and each area had a handful of indicators that were kind of existential. A lot of it was like, what does this really mean for students? What does this really translate into as far as a learning goal or objective? Which on the one hand gave some freedom that you could justify just about anything as aligned with the curriculum standards, but it also left a lot to be desired as to what specifically do we want our learners and students to know. So these new standards, again, they're in those 4 main areas. They've also expanded them. One of the primary changes is the way that they have separated out personal finance and consumerism. So consumerism, choices, shopping, being an informed consumer, being able to comparison shop, some of those credit, savings, budgeting, but budgeting from a family standpoint and budgeting throughout the lifespan, as opposed to specific technological terms that would be covered in those personal finance standards. They were developed together at the same time, actually. So that is one change. Another big change in the standards is that they have added a focus on careers to each of the standards. So each of those areas now has a new indicator that asks us to talk about career opportunities that relate to content in that standard. So there we align again with Beatty, but also with a variety of other careers that relate to family consumer sciences and our students in terms of the fashion, merchandising, and apparel industry, the education industry, not only as working with young children, but also our K-12 children and careers that are available working with them, careers in finance, and careers in food and nutrition. So I think that emphasis on careers and for us to take opportunities to talk about the variety of careers that exist out there that touch on these skills is one of the primary changes that these standards have made.
Okay, anyone else? All right. Well, thank you again so much for being here this evening, and thank you for providing all these opportunities to our students.
Thank you. And today happens to be FCS Educator Day. And so, what a fantastic way for us to be here celebrating our curriculum and also celebrating the legacy that this district has in supporting our department and the great things that we're doing together.
Thank you. Okay, now we move on to speakers on voting items. We do not have any pre-registered speakers this evening. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on a voting item for up to 2 minutes? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to our approval of the minutes. Ms. Hardy.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. This evening, the board will vote to approve the January 7th, 2026 and January 21st, 2026 board meeting minutes, and I so move.
Second.
Any questions or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, we're ready for the vote.
The vote is open. Mrs. Thays, how would you like to vote?
I approve.
The vote is closed and passes unanimously.
Okay, curriculum, student activities, Ms. Pagnato and Ms. Jin.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. Continuing with the Family Consumer Science theme, the Wellness Club focused on de-deucing in December, encouraging members to let go of items and habits they have outgrown. This initiative helps students prepare for the holiday season and for upcoming transitions, such as college. In January, the focus shifted to identifying new habits and practices members want to adopt in the new year. In February, the club will continue exploring new concepts from The Lazy Genius by Kendra Adachi, learning how to prioritize what truly matters, using the magic question to stay ahead during the spring semester and build routines that support balance, well-being, and personal growth. Additionally, DECA members competed at the regional conference with 240 students participating and 85 qualifying to advance to the state competition. In February, qualifiers will represent North Allegheny at the DECA State Conference in Hershey from February 18th through the 20th. Lastly, the senior class is currently hosting an early bird prom ticket sale, offering tickets at a discounted rate from February 10th through February 13th. They are preparing for this year's prom, which will be held on April 18th, titled the Golden Hour Gala, which will be held at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. Project Water is currently in the midst of preparing for their annual and much anticipated dodgeball tournament. In addition to their continuous planning, they are also creating a launch video and registration website. Lastly, they are reaching out to local businesses to expand their sponsorships. And speaking of tournaments, the Table Tennis Club, which is continuing their monthly meetings, is looking forward to their annual Pizza Pong tournament, the culminating event of the club season that is scheduled this year to take place on Wednesday, February 25th. At the tournament, players of all skill levels engage in a celebration of unlimited pizza, pop, and pong. At a broader level, 42 TSA, or Technology Student Association, members participated in the TSA Regional Tournament at Black Hawk High School on January 24th. They did extremely well, with 31 students advancing to the state's tournament at Seven Springs on April 15th to the 17th.
Thank you both. Thank you both. Next, we move on to the curriculum report. Ms. Hardy.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. This evening, there are 10 items for board action and 2 items for information only in the curriculum report. Board action items include the approval for the HOSA State Leadership Conference, a waiver of Board Policy 241 for students to attend that conference, a speech and debate trip, the PMEA Regional Honor Choir trip, the NA Indoor Percussion trip to Michigan, another NA indoor percussion trip to Ohio, the TSA state conference as detailed by in the student report there, the PMEA All-State Orchestra Festival, a waiver of board policy 241 for the All-State Orchestra Festival, and a contract with Life Touch Photography. And I so move.
Second. Ms. Hardy, any questions or comments?
None.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we are ready for the vote.
The vote is open.
And I'll just detail the information-only items while we vote. They include the details on the principal internship assignment for this spring and proposed instructional resource purchases for the 2026-2027 school year, including textbooks for the English language arts, social studies, math, and business classes. All of these texts will be available for public review for the next 30 days here at Central Administration. Thank you, Mrs. Warner.
Thank you, Ms. Hardy. Next, we move on to Mr. Weniger in the finance report.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. This month, there are 5 items for board action. They are the student expenditures for December 2025, the accounts payable list, the collateral securities reports, the budget transfers, and the appointments of professionals, and I so move.
Second. Any comments, Mr. Weniger?
No, there's a lot of standard things in here. The one we will point out is the appointments of professionals, which is just the recommendation of hiring Dinsmore and Scholl and PNC Capital Markets for some of the upcoming bond expenditures that we.
Mrs. Blackburn.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. I need to abstain from just item number 2, please.
Anyone else have questions or comments on the finance report? Dr. Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Mr. Warner, could you please explain the transfer? It looks like just an $85 supply transfer when needed to move from one budget to another. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I mean, the specific details, maybe Mr. Hauser could let you know, but yes, it's just moving.
Yeah, that's correct. Both of what you were saying is correct. So occasionally there will be a budget transfer between 2 controllers. Sometimes it's for small dollars amount. It's just basically saying, hey, we're going to move money from, I'm not specific on this one, but we're moving monies from one controller to another controller.
For supplies in this
For
case?
supplies, so they're able to spend that money.
Just so happened they didn't have enough buffer or room in their budget, so they had to come to the board level on
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
So this one came to the board
Great,
level.
thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we're ready for the vote.
Vote
Thank
is
you.
open.
While we prepare for the vote, there are 2 information-only items. It is the ending cash balance for January through January 31st of 2026. And the second is the January forecast. And the, I guess, point of note for the January forecast is this month, we're forecasting a slightly more negative budget situation, mainly driven by just some local tax revenue information from the last report where we had information. I think it was all the way back in November, really, is the last time, due to timing and some reports. But so hopefully there's some opportunity to make some of that up, but we're still within 0.1% of our overall budget projection. So overall, very, very close to where we want to be, but have a little more work to do to get there.
Thank you, Mr. Weniger. Now we move on to the Human Resources Report. Dr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. There are 7 items in the Human Resources folder for action tonight. The first is resignations and retirements. Second is appointments. Third is wage and status changes. Fourth is leaves of absence. Fifth is recognition for additional education. 6 is honorary and club activities. And 7 is supplemental contracts. And I so move.
Second.
Dr. Gibbs, any comments on your folder?
Yes, I have some comments on 2 of those items. Under resignations and retirements, we have quite a few retirements and 1 resignation that are listed. Altogether, there are 36 individuals listed, 35 of which are people who are retiring. Of those, there are 27 teachers that represent 722 years of contracted service with North Allegheny. There are 8 paraprofessionals, represent 146 years of contracted service with North Allegheny, and 1 custodial employee with 25 years of contracted service with North Allegheny. And that's the head custodian at Marshall Elementary. The public can see all these names in the agenda, and these people will be honored at a luncheon hosted by the district in May. I also wanted to point out that Ms. Tracy told me that this is the greatest number of retirements that has occurred at this time in the year for quite a few years, if ever. I haven't been on the board that long, but she says at least in quite a few years. So that's quite a thing. And of course, this will open up a lot of positions. And I think it's worth noting that this creates opportunities for those who may be interested in becoming a Tiger. This could be a great time to join us, right? And I'm told that we're aiming to post positions, the open positions, in the middle of March. So I just wanted to mention that. Half of these positions that will be posted are at the elementary level, and half of them are at the secondary level. And then the other item I want to make a brief comment is under recognition for additional education. Lucas Hook completed a master's degree in health and wellness education from the American College of Education. So congratulations to Mr. Hook.
Thank you, Dr. Gibbs. Does anyone else have any, Mr. Winter?
Yeah, no, it's always interesting, sad, happy, all the different emotions when I see the retirements. A lot of these people, or I should say some of these people, I know, they were teachers of mine. Specifically, Jay Moore is actually like my brother's best friend. So I've known Mr. Moore since I was 7, 8, and recently ran into him and his family getting pizza a couple months ago, and he said he was going to retire. And I begged him to stay. He clearly didn't listen to me. But just a funny story. I think I was a senior in high school. I signed up for his AP history class. And within the first couple days of class, he said, and I remember Mr. Moore or Jay as this fun-loving guy when I was little. First day in class, he said, "Hey, if you think that you're going to be an athlete and be in my class, this probably isn't the place for you." And I looked at my friend and I was like, "Oh, I better drop this class because I know I'm going to miss this class." So I dropped it. And a week later, my brother called me. He's like, "Why did you drop Mr. Moore's class?" I'm like, "Well, he clearly said if you're going to miss this class." So Mr. Moore, I'm sorry that I should have stuck with it. I shouldn't have dropped out. But just a great guy, and he's going to miss him. And Mr. Solenday, thank you for not failing me in math class. I had him first period for math. And during football season, I would get called out of first period class 5 days of the week to go to the suspension office. Not because I was in trouble. We had to go watch football film. So Mr. Solenday was very gracious in allowing me to leave class pretty much every day to go get some extra football studying. And so I appreciate the efforts, and NA is not going to be the same without you, but I appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Does anyone else have comments? Dr. Adams.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner, and thank you, Dr. Gibbs. A quick question of fiduciary checkpoint. Is there someone, or do you have any information to share the brief impact of the honor area, the 2 different projects that they were connected to, what the impact was, and why were they being requested? Who could speak to that?
So I think maybe Ms. Tracy could speak to that.
Well, and I can give it a shot. So honoraria is usually for extra efforts teachers make outside the classroom for activities that impact our students that may not be covered by a supplemental contract. So the one is for Unified Bocce. Those are our Unified Bocce coaches. When that originally was added, it was through a grant, I think with the Special Olympics, if I remember correctly, but now the district takes it on, but it's just continued to be in the honoraria section. And the NA Fiddlers is a program Mr. Morton runs for aspiring musicians, students.
Perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
Mrs. Stays.
Excuse me, Mrs. Warner.
Oh,
I apologize.
yeah.
Dr. DeLuca has mentioned to me our Unified Bocce team has made the playoffs. Nice job, everybody.
Well done.
Mrs. Stays.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. I just wanted to add my congratulations and appreciation for the teachers that are retiring this year and faculty. especially those at Marshall Elementary. I see a lot of names on this list that have impacted my children and all of the children that have gone through there. And Jimmy has worked so hard as a custodian in that school, and I am excited for what comes next for him. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Then we will move on to the property and supply support. Mrs. Light.
We have
We
not
have to
voted.
vote. We still have to vote. I am so sorry.
The vote is open.
Yeah, I really don't. Thank you, Mrs. Weidman, for keeping me on my toes.
The vote has closed and all items have passed unanimously.
And now we can move on to the property and supplies report. Mrs. Light.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. Tonight we have 3 items in the property and supplies report for board action. The first is approval of automatic temperature controls upgrade phase 3. The second is Society for Science Regeneron STS Scholar Awards. And the third is approval of professional surveying services agreements with HRG for district-wide renovation and addition projects. So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Light, any comments on your items?
The Regeneron STS Scholar Awards, we had two students who we will be receiving $2,000 awards on their behalf for, they were named 2026 Regeneron Scholars from the Society for Science, and the money will be used for STEM activities.
Anyone else have comments or questions? Okay. I would just say congratulations to those 2 students, Srijit Sai and Audrey, and we're so proud of them. And seeing no other questions or comments, we're ready for the vote.
The vote is open. The vote has closed and all items passed unanimously.
Okay, next we have Mrs. Blackburn with the Student Services Report.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. We have one item for voting this evening, the Employment Option Center at McGuire Memorial Agreement. And I so move.
Second.
Any comments, Mrs. Blackburn? No. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we are ready for the vote.
The vote is open.
And our information only item is a student teaching request for special education. So that will be nice to have a couple of people coming for that.
Vote is closed. The item passed unanimously.
Next, we have Dr. Highland with the Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. We have 10 items for board consideration this month. The first is professional seminars and development or sponsorship and chaperone travel. Next are policies, second reads and adoption of Policy 200, Policy 203, Policy 203.1, Policy 209.1, Policy 252, Policy 254, Policy 301, Policy 306, and a retirement of Policy 209.1.
I will move those items.
Second.
Any questions or comments on these items? Seeing none, we're ready for the vote.
The vote is open.
While the board is voting, we also have some informational items on first reads for Policy 202, Policy 204, Policy 205, Policy 206, Policy 208, Policy 209, Policy 218.3, Policy 236, Policy 247, and Policy 251.
The voting closed and all items passed unanimously.
Thank you. Now we can move on to our special reports. The solicitor will provide an electronic report.
We'll provide it a little bit later since this is the work session and combined meeting. So we'll try to get it about the time the regular meeting would have been.
Excellent.
So we can capture more activity for you.
And then we have the Citizens Advisory Committee and the A.W. Beatty Career Center reports. Mrs. Blackburn.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. The Citizens Advisory Committee has a meeting coming up next month, and the 16th, I believe that's the Monday. I should have looked at the date ahead of time. Yes, the 16th, March 16th at 7 p.m. right here. And with the A.W. Beatty Career Center, last month, the class's Scooby-Doo themed pedal car was entered into the 2026 World of Wheels Pittsburgh Pedal Car Competition, and the final design earned a first place blue ribbon at the show. So that was phenomenal. And we have a whole list of students from North Allegheny who were a part of that. I have to open up another screen if you'll excuse me for 1 second. Zachariah D'Agostino Luckow, Eric Dean, Brian Donaldson, Reese Halsinger, Paul Klein, Braden McCarthy, Talia Murphy, Braden Neff, Timmy Summers, and Adam Schwartz. So we would like to congratulate them. That is just phenomenal. And we have been listing the students of the month on the website. So congratulations to everyone there. Everything's going well. We discussed the budget. That's what we'll be doing there for a couple more months maybe. And they're figuring out what the totals are. We won't get this totals yet. So we're working on it. They're working on it. Thank you. That
Thank you,
concludes
Mrs.
my report.
Blackburn. Next, Mrs. Thays with the North Allegheny Foundation report and the legislative report.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. Last month, the North Allegheny Foundation held their Distinguished Alumni Gala and honored a wonderful list of distinguished alumni. I'm just going to read out who was honored there. Kristen Chambers, Mark Wagner, Craig Poole, Maria Pulisili, Bradley Harbaugh, Daniel McKean, Thomas Jones, Alexandra Sansosti, Dan Stack, and Dr. Lauren Spuderini. Apologies if I murdered anybody's name there, but congratulations to all of those distinguished alumni. And we will find out soon when the May Taste of NA next event for the foundation will be, but sometime in May. Moving on to the legislative report, I'd like to provide a brief update on recent legislative activities in Harrisburg that impact public schools. On February 3rd, Governor Shapiro delivered his proposed 26-27 state budget. The overall proposals total $53.2 billion, an increase of $3.1 billion over last year. For education, the proposal includes a $50 million increase in basic education funding and a $50 million increase in special education funding. The budget also continues major investments in adequacy funding, including $526 million through the Ready to Learn Adequacy Supplement and $32 million for tax equity districts. It proposes $111 million for school safety and mental health, $14 million for career and technical education, and $125 million for school facility improvements, including solar for schools funding. In addition, the proposal includes further cyber charter tuition reforms projected to generate an additional $75 million in statewide savings for school districts next year. Budget hearings are currently underway, and the General Assembly must pass a final budget by June 30th. Beyond the budget, several education-related bills are advancing. Senate Bill 1014 would create a mandatory statewide ban on cell phone use during the school day and has passed the Senate. Two additional bills affect school governance. House Bill 1291 would require continued publication of public notices in printed newspapers with limited digital alternatives. House Bill 2146 would restrict school boards' ability to add agenda items during a meeting, changing current practices under a recent Pennsylvania Supreme Court decision. Other legislation under consideration includes funding supports for districts that voluntarily adopt later secondary start times, requirements for AEDs at athletic events, social media literacy standards, and updates related to career and technical education programs. We will continue to monitor these developments, particularly the state budget process and legislation, as they may affect our district's operations and funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Thays. Now we move on to speakers on no voting items. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak for up to 2 minutes? Mr. Harrison.
Good evening, Happy New Year, and sorry I missed the last couple meetings. Today I had the privilege of being at the presentation that was put on by the district for what's going to be going on with the buildings. If you haven't seen it yet, the presentation they did a great job today. It was very informative. There was a lot of input from the community, and there's a lot of great things going to be happening in the district in the near future. So thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. And thank you, Mr. Hauser and Mr. Chabala, for being there to help out with that presentation today. Does anyone have any announcements or reminders? Dr. Gibbs?
Yeah, I just want to briefly mention that the Student Health and Wellness Parent Advisory Committee met last Wednesday, and Dave Schmidt, who's the head of the Student Wellness and Physical, what do I want to say? The physical, health and physical, thank you. Health and physical education was there and gave a very comprehensive description of the physical education program in the district, and it was very great. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gibbs. I'd also like to thank Mr. Misity for being here tonight in case we had any questions about the financial implications that some of the things we were voting on this evening. So thank you for taking the time to be here. And if there are no other announcements or reminders, then we are adjourned.